ships and things.
Yeah, so I think we've reached a point, at least, of sort of strategic stability in the relationship. I think both countries concluded that having an all-out global trade war between the United States and China would be deeply damaging to both sides and to the world. There remain issues of disagreement. There remain issues that we know in the long term are going to have to be confronted and could be irritants in our relationship. We've not been bashful in saying that we don't think we don't think it's sustainable to live in a world where we depend on some country for 90% of anything, whether it's supply chains or critical minerals or the like, pharmaceuticals and the like. And we have every intention of doing everything we can to ensure that our critical supply chains are diversified. And that will continue to be a point of contention, I imagine, but that's something that's critical to our national security and that we've been working on and will continue to work on. I also think that from a responsibility standpoint, the two largest economies in the world who both possess nuclear arsenals have to be able to talk, have to be able to communicate, and have to be able to interact. It would be reckless and irresponsible for the United States and China not to have meetings, not to have conversations, and not to have opportunities for our leaders to interact with one another. I just think I don't know anybody who thinks that's a good idea. It would be foolish and frankly dangerous for us not to have a relationship with them, even as our areas of conflict and disagreement remain.
Are you worried though about the technology
That he is seeking?
Well, we think ultimately in the 21st century, for there to be a true arms control agreement, it has to involve China. Their stockpiles have increased dramatically. Their position that they would argue is that they're still way behind the United States and Russia. We think that's irrelevant. They certainly have the capacity to catch up and are well on their way to doing so. So we believe, the President strongly believes, that for any sort of agreement, on nuclear agreement in the 21st century to be legitimate, it has to involve these three countries, the United States, Russia, and China. And we're going to continue to explore their willingness to do so. They have publicly said they're not willing to do it. I'm sure you've heard them say that. I'm sure they've reiterated, and I know they restated that again very recently. But we'll continue to press on it because we think it would be good for the world if we could reach such an agreement. The President would be in favor of that if we could do it, but it has to be all three countries.
So how do you...
We can pressure, we can guide, we can cajole, but we can't compel. So ultimately, if they want to make an arms deal with the three countries, we're prepared to talk about it. If they don't want to do it, then we won't have one, and we'll just keep doing what we need to do. So we don't want to walk away from we know that at the end, the war in Ukraine does not have a military solution. That war will be settled through a negotiation. And right now, we are the only country in the world that can be a catalyst for negotiation. If we forfeit that role, no one else can do it. That said, do I believe the President's patience is infinite? I do not. But I'm not going to forecast for you when that runs out or at what point he decides not to do it any longer. I can tell you, and I think you've heard him express, a deep frustration that this has not come to an end because he sees it as a completely stupid and senseless war.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.